And we are live. It is the Sound Advice live stream and podcast. Although I don't think we've been uploading. I know I haven't. I have not been uploading the podcast files. So it's really just a live stream at this point. As
Yeah.
always, I am Justin, also known as the DIY audio guy. And with me is my friend, Toy, the one and only. Are you going by Toy as your screen name now? Or are you.
Toy. I don't know. You
okay.
call me whatever you want. I don't care. I mean,
Just
Nick
don't call me
Toy.
late for dinner.
Yeah, you can call me late to dinner too, as long as you still have some left over and it's still good.
I was looking at my notifications on YouTube the other day, and I got a video popped up from Mullen Performance Audio, and he's got some footage from Slamology, and front and center he's in the kicker Bronco, and he's wearing the hat you sent him. So right
Oh, really? I didn't see that. That's awesome.
Perfect little billboard. He's got the hat, so I got to start sending people hats to wear.
Oh, that's cool, man. Well, thanks, man. I was really impressed. I saw a couple of reviewers went, like David went, and I saw him up there. He posted some videos. I saw Mullen went. Obviously, Andy went. I know I'm missing like 75 people, but like there was a ton of people that went to that. It does make me want to go just for the camaraderie more than anything else. Oh, there's Andy right there. I saw you. I even saw you live a few times, man. That was really cool with you at Slamology.
Looks like we got a good crowd. Say hi to some people here. Hi, David. I don't recognize that name. Welcome to the show, Eric. Good to see you, Cornut. One of my patrons, Cornut. Thank you so much, Cornut. We got the true voice of reason, and of course, hello from the Pacific Northwest, the one and only El Fuego. All right, good to have you here as always. Hope you're doing well. Bobby B is hanging out in the chat as well. So we got a good gang here. Baba is here.
I should have. You know what? Maybe next year I probably will.
And,
if I can get
Joey here has a question. I'm going to star that one. We'll come back to it later when we get a chance. He wants some nice sound in a 2020 Ford Ranger Super Crew cab. So
we'll talk about that. That's basically what the show is about today.
That's it. Yeah. I'm going to make sure I star that, and we'll try to come back to it.
So here's the deal. Living Loud with Andy said, hey, live show is insane. I can't believe it worked. And I actually am really surprised it worked too. I was surprised there wasn't more clipping of the microphone, things of that nature. I was really shocked at how well that worked. I was not sure how that was going to work, but that actually turned out really well. I was really impressed.
Awesome. Yeah, live streaming's a challenge sometimes, especially when your internet decides that 7:30 is the time to cut out. So we'll see how far we can make it before my connection dies.
Well, yeah, and the whole, with a different environment with, noise, not knowing how it works. I mean, it's just crazy. All right, so what are we talking about today?
I really don't know, to be honest with you, because I'm having a hard time coming up with good ideas for the show. So you came up with the idea. Let's talk about all these complicated cars and ways to get radios into all these complicated cars, because things have gotten complicated. And this isn't news. We've talked about it some. And you did a video recently that you really wanted to kind of talk a little bit more about the product. So what is that?
Yes. Well, yeah, it actually came out yesterday. So let's first talk about, hey, Cameron, nice to have you on, man. Thank you for the super chat, man. Appreciate that.
First super chat. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we like it. We haven't even started with the real content yet, so that's awesome. So here's the deal. When you used to buy a vehicle, it doesn't matter when, you could go all the way back to like whenever they first started putting radios in up until recently, you always had one of two options. You had a single DIN or a double DIN, and that was just a radio that you could pull out, take it off, buy a new wiring harness that would clip onto your new radio, and you were done. That was it. Like you didn't have to do anything else. And then all you had to decide on was brand, maybe color, things of that nature. But as years have progressed, vehicles have started integrating things into your radio. So now it's no longer in a radio anymore. It's called an infotainment center because it does navigation. Sometimes it has climate control on it. Your USBs, like for example, my car, my USBs go into it. I actually have an aux in that goes into it. I have video goes in it. I actually have a 360-degree camera from Nissan that when you put it in reverse, it shows up and shows everything around you, like an aerial bird's eye view, so that I know what's beside me, in front of me, behind me. And then it also has the backup camera as well. But all that shows up on the radio. The problem is nowadays
how effective is that 360 camera? I mean, how good is it?
It's very nice. It's actually really nice. I didn't know. I honestly thought it was kind of gimmicky. That's what I thought when I didn't use it. But now that I've actually had it, I love it. Now, having said that, I didn't want to lose it. But
right.
I have a 2020 Nissan Pathfinder, which is what, 3 years old now? And
yeah.
No Apple CarPlay, no Android Auto, one of the worst navigation systems known to mankind. Ford Sync, by the way, any Ford Sync owners, you guys are stuck with this junk too. Like you're stuck with these terrible, like antiquated systems where you press the button and you're like, make a phone call. I want to call this person. I want to call their phone, their cell phone. I want to call, you have to make 7 prompts before you can make a phone call.
So back up just a second here. It's got the fancy camera, but it doesn't have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay.
No, and it wasn't available. You couldn't get it in that. It wasn't till 2021 that they started adding it, I think, on the Pathfinder and a couple other vehicles.
Did Nissan just not have that as a feature available at all?
Yeah, no, it wasn't a feature at all.
Okay.
At all. So this is a company called Nifty City. And they offer for every, like any vehicle known to mankind. So this is really important, like a Ford, a Lincoln, that you have those Ford Sync products. Like if you try to swap out that radio, you lose like everything in your vehicle. Like it's terrible. And so what they've come out with, they come out with a product that you can, it's like a black box that you install, and it comes with a couple wire harnesses. It's literally a plug and play system. They actually give you a YouTube video that shows you exactly how to do it on your vehicle. I'm going to show you on mine. And all you got to do is find your vehicle here. So this one is Nissan, and I don't even see it on here. Oh, there it is. It's the very first one. You click on it, and then you click whatever vehicle you have, and then you select it. So I have a Pathfinder, and it might actually have it on there. I don't even, oh, there it is, 2013 and 21. It shows you your system, and then it shows you how much it is. Now, I had someone like say, $700, that's crazy. And I'm like, dude, you don't have to pay installation fee to anyone. Like, this is something you can install yourself. You don't lose, like your rear headrest, you don't lose that. Like you keep all of the everything factory was kept on mine. Like my steering wheel controls work still. Like I press the button, Siri pops up. My map still works. I mean, everything works. And the original system still works too. So if I wanted to later take this out, the regular system still works. So, in fact, I could go back and forth between them. I don't know why I would. You're muted, Justin.
So, basically, you've been able to... what's involved in the install? I saw the video, and I saw you changed out a circuit board. Was that circuit board in your factory radio you changed out, or was that circuit board inside the Nifty City device?
So, here's the deal. Nissan... There's only two vehicles that you need to worry about this, which is Nissan and Infiniti. They're basically the same car, right? So your Nissan vehicles, some Nissan vehicles, you have to do that. Their circuit board was actually right here in this little display. I had to switch that out. Now, if you have any other vehicle, you don't have to do that. However, if you don't have a touchscreen, it's not going to be touchscreen. You'll still navigate it the same way. Although with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, I don't think it matters because you just use your voice anyway.
Right.
That's the way I look at it. I just say, hey Siri, play Pandora, or hey Siri, navigate to whatever. And I did check it out. It does work on my wife's as well. And it's all wireless. So it's wireless Apple CarPlay. All of my USB ports still work. Everything. Actually, when I turned, another cool feature is when I turned up the, what do you call that? The climate control, right?
Now playing C Shanty.
Oh, shoot.
Radio on Pandora.
Siri just started my Pandora. Well, I forgot that she was next. So It actually pops up the climate control right there on the screen as well. So I can see if it's syncing with the back and the front. I can
in
make
your
changes on there.
Pathfinder, the screen's not a touch screen; it's just a display.
No, mine is a
And
touchscreen.
you use. I'm sorry.
Mine is a
is a
touchscreen, but I'm just saying if
Okay.
you did not have a touchscreen, like but with the Pathfinder, I can either touch the screen or use that dial in the middle right here. But mine is
Gotcha,
a touchscreen, so
gotcha.
I use touch. I don't
Okay.
really use a touchscreen, but I'm just saying you can use the touchscreen. But you should watch the video if you haven't seen it. It's not you. I'm just saying the people listening, because it's a pretty neat system, and you don't have to stick with this. Like if I wanted to upgrade, I could have upgraded to Tesla style, and they have these Tesla style
Right.
for everything. So I didn't know exactly how this worked. Yeah, so I could flop it out, get a Tesla style, much bigger if you're into that, and that would be touchscreen. It's more expensive, but if you want to change the look of your car, and it comes with all the plastic trim pieces and everything that you need. So, and that they have that for a bunch of different vehicles. So if you have a Nissan, Infiniti, Toyota, Lexus, Ford, Jeep, Dodge, Chevrolet, GMC, all of those, you can see if they offer it for yours.
So this is getting the functionality of Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. You know, are you done with that? You need to pull off the screen.
No, you're good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So this gives you the functionality of the cell phone connection without replacing the radio. But does it give you output? Can you get an RCA output from this thing?
Yeah, actually, it does come with some RCA integration as well. I didn't use any of that.
Okay.
And I would have to double check to see. So here's a couple things it came with that I didn't show in the. I showed in the video, but I put aside. It comes with a GPS antenna. So if your vehicle's not equipped with GPS, you'd have to use that. Mine was, so I didn't use that. It comes with 4 extra USB ports if you want to run those somewhere. Once again, didn't use those. I have USB everywhere throughout my car. I don't need that. And then the last thing it came with was some RCA ports. And honestly, I didn't really pay attention to what the RCA was, whether they're inputs or outputs. And so, you'd want to, I couldn't tell you for sure.
Gotcha. So, and wireless.
But it
Apple
does
CarPlay.
come with RCA.
That's
Wireless
that's
Apple
handy.
CarPlay, wireless. Yeah, it's just one of those things that I think. So here, I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you an honest question.
Yeah.
So for this literally took me an hour to install, by the way. And when I say an hour, I mean that's taking this all apart, putting it in, etc. Some cars are going to be faster, but we'll just assume 1 hour of time for someone to do, because all it is plug and play. Like literally, you unplug certain wires, you plug this harness in, you plug it in the back of your unit,
Like
you're
a
done.
T-harness.
It is a T-harness, exactly. My question to you is, do you think like $700 is expensive for a unit that completely transforms your vehicle like that?
It sounds expensive on the surface, but wireless Android Auto / Apple CarPlay is going to be expensive. There are some, let's call them Chinesium brands that we'll talk about later that seem to have that feature, wireless and cheap for some reason. I can't figure out why. And some of those are good brands. I'm not saying anything negative about the Chinesium brands, at least not yet anyways. But if you were to go with a name brand stereo like an Alpine or something like that, and you had to go and solder the wire harnesses together and everything, that's going to be, I don't know. I mean, after you buy all the wire harnesses and everything, you're going to be in at $700. So
maybe even more, because some of the trim packages you have to buy are $500 depending on your vehicle.
Right. And I've got an Alpine radio sitting in the garage that I need to get around to installing. Hopefully I can get that done sometime the next couple of weeks. And it was every bit of $700 after I bought. And even in my truck, it's not like I've got a difficult one to integrate in. My truck's an 04 model. I'm going to drive it till the wheels fall off. And it really is old school. It's just solder together a simple wiring harness and plug it in and off you go. The challenge, of course, is always getting the dash off. Getting the dash off the car is always the hardest part. It's not that far out of line when you compare it to a brand name car stereo unit and all the work.
And here's the thing that I get back to is if you go with any of those other brands, and we're going to be talking about that in a minute, even name brands, right?
Right.
You lose functionality of some kind. You're going to do it.
there is no aftermarket radio that I know of that would retain that camera, the 360.
Yeah,
camera.
right, exactly. None that I know of that will retain the 360 camera, or the
maybe
USB
there's some
port.
that
So you
will,
almost always
right? Maybe there's some that will, but whatever will retain that camera is going to cost you hundreds of dollars for the interfaces.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of where I'm coming from, because we're going to show you some devices later that allow you to convert a newer vehicle to a different, like car stereo if you want. But the one thing you've got to remember is you are going to lose some functionality. The thing that I liked about this more than anything else, I want to say this one last thing about this, is if you get in my car and you go to drive it, you would have no idea that this wasn't factory. Like, you look at it, it looks like any other 2020 Nissan Pathfinder on the road. And to some people, that's not a big deal.
It is. It's the factory screen.
It is the factory screen. You're right. It's just that little,
and that
little
didn't
box.
Remove the radio.
Exactly. And that little box, by the way, I did kind of figure this out. It is an Android-based system that's doing all this stuff in it. But it's nice. It is very nice. I like it. So anyway, I don't need to talk any more about that, but I do think that is absolutely worth the money if your car does it and you want to retain all your factory integration and you care about the looks. If you want a new radio that does different things or better sound quality, then not the system for you.
So this right here is what I have in my wife's car. It's a Kia Forte. I saw someone mentioned a Kia Forte in the having. It's a 2017 model, and so we've had it for a few years now. It did not. It was stripped down. It was a base model, and so this is what we have in it. I installed it, wired it up, made a video, and I like this because it's got that thin frame, so there's room behind the dash for all that bundle of wiring harnesses. And this was the first time I'd ever done a complicated radio because it had to have. Well, first of all, the dash was almost impossible to get apart. It took me way too long to do that. Had to wire in the steering wheel controls, and it was Android Auto, wired Android Auto. And I want to show you something.
So how long did it take you to wire all that, you think?
You know what? I'm not a professional installer. It takes a lot of time to do these kind of things. So it took me every evening for a week before I had the wire harness done.
It's crazy. It's true. I believe that. It's not that you're not knowledgeable on this stuff. It's just it's more complicated now than it used to be. It's a lot more complicated.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And part of that's because I was taking my time and I was making sure that I had thought out every last little bit and put the extra effort into making sure I had it all right. But then there is this one little Achilles heel right here that was a detail that I missed when I bought it that you need to know about, and it's this right here. I don't know how well y'all can see that. Can y'all see that?
Oh,
USB
1 amp.
port power, 1 amp.
That's
1
not good.
amp is not enough current to support a modern smartphone charging and operating Android Auto. Plus, this radio is really picky about the cable. The USB cable that came with all the wiring that Crutchfield sent me, right, wouldn't work with it. So like I went ahead and bought the interface so I could attach to the factory USB port, and so you can plug right into that. Wouldn't work. I had to use the USB cable that came with the radio that's just kind of hanging out of a hole in the dash, and it's not enough power to charge the phone and operate Android Auto.
So I might have a solution for that later. I think I have a solution for that car.
Always looking forward to solutions. So
no, I think I do. I think I have a solution for that. I think I have a solution for that and Bobby's 2018 Kia Forte.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if he'll need it, but I don't want to cut you off. I know you're still talking about this.
No, but I wanted to point this out because the Android Auto in it is basically useless. It disconnects constantly, and I'm a fan of Alpine. I'm a bit of an Alpine fanboy. Back when I was young and broke, I dreamed of one day owning Alpine stuff. And so when I bought this, I was like, oh, I can afford Alpine. I'm a baller now. Yeah. And it's terrible. I would not recommend this radio to anybody. I would say, please don't buy it.
So Max Speedrod says, this podcast sucks. Well, here's the deal, Max Speedrods. If you don't like it, leave. We don't care. It's all right. You can go. We are happy to to share our knowledge with the people that want to learn. And those that don't want to, we'll see you later. You have a good day. Oh, and you're banned, so sorry. Have a really good day.
I'm not certain who that is. I think maybe one of our regular viewers trying to have a little bit of fun.
You think so? I don't know. Okay, so here's the deal, guys.
So, yeah. It's all, yeah.
Whatever. I want to share this because I think this actually can fix that Alpine unit. I don't know for sure, but I think it can. And I think it can also fix... Apple CarPlay and Android Auto has been around for a while. So there's cars that have wired Android Auto and Apple CarPlay that also have that same issue you have, which basically when they first came out, we only needed 1 amp on our phones to charge it. But our phones continue to use more and more data and more higher processors and, you know, your RAM and things of that nature that take up a lot more amperage to charge it now. So the problem is, like, say you're going on a 12-hour trip and you're trying to charge your phone while using CarPlay, well, eventually your battery is going to drain. Your battery is going to actually drain faster than it's actually being used. So I'm sorry, that you're actually charging it. So Nifty City came out with this, and this is something I have not used. So full disclosure, I've never used it. Okay, but this plugs into vehicles with CarPlay. So I don't know if it would. It makes it sounds like it would work with a non-factory unit as well, because all it is CarPlay in it. So any car that has CarPlay in it, you can plug this up. You plug it up in the same wired spot. So wherever that wired USB is to give you CarPlay. And what this does is it does 3 things. First thing it does is it now makes it wireless Android Auto and wireless CarPlay. That way you can now use a different charger in your car that actually will charge your phone. The last thing that it does is it actually turns your display into a smart television. So now it actually has things like Netflix, Prime Video, Hulu, Disney Plus, and all of it goes onto your screen so you can use that. Now, I know some people are saying right now, like, oh, you can't use that while driving. But man, I don't know about you, Justin, but I go out a lot with my wife, and then we'll go out to like the grocery store, and then she'll also decide that she wants to stop at another store and go shopping, and she's in there for like a half an hour. I don't mind watching a YouTube video or something on my screen. You know, I'd rather watch it on that than my phone. Oh, can you not even see this?
I mean, I can see it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it's showing up.
Yeah. What do you... I don't know. What do you think?
Another nifty. So that's more than just, hey, let's make this thing wireless. It's also let's turn this thing into a smart TV, and that's handy. Yeah,
I think so. I mean, it's also not a cheap thing, but it's cheaper than changing out your entire stereo again. Like, what was that stereo? Like $330?
Right.
The Alpine?
And plus, you're going to spend an extra $150 on all the crap you need to get the thing to work. So, I mean, there you go, right? So, I mean, you know, you're going to spend $500 at Crutchville.
Yeah, I'll send you the link right now. The link is also in the video description, but I'll send it to you over the. Bobby asked about that. To me, like, that's pretty cool. What did I label that? Oh, take your factory and make it wireless. Here it is.
Gotcha. You gonna put that in the comments, maybe?
I'll put that in the comments for Cameron, you guys.
$20 super chat. Thanks for the soldering tips. Finish the Hi-Fi 3.1 kit, DIY or buy speaker stands. Oh, that's a tough one. Sometimes you want to just make your own, and sometimes it's easier just to buy them. I've never made speaker stands. I've meant to do it, but never have. So, a tough call. The price of wood these days, sometimes it's cheaper to buy them.
So you're in luck. I actually have. I don't have them in this room, but I have the Dayton Audio ones that just came out, and they're pretty nice. But I'm going to tell you one thing that I would recommend maybe doing. They're definitely worth whatever they cost. I don't. They're pretty inexpensive, but they're built well. They actually have 2 different top plates on them. One bigger for larger bookshelves, and one smaller for smaller bookshelves. And to make a long story short, the only thing that I don't like about those stands is that the base that's in the middle is hollow. So if you want it, which obviously it can be easier to tip over, and also it can also trap in resonances, as with anything hollow. So you could seal that up with like a couple bags of sand or something in there if you wanted to. But they're pretty good stands. I would say for the price, they're definitely worth it. They're like the only stands that I've recently used, so I'm sure there's other good stands as well. I just not real familiar.
All right. I know you have seen this kind of thing before. Wait, wrong screen. Let me see if I can find the right screen here. Present.
I am glad that those soldering tips help too. I might be building a 3.1 on my channel. So, oh, you know what, Cameron? While we're asking, I just want to know if you did any of there's a couple upgraded crossovers. Just let us know. I'd like to know if you did a different crossover, if you did the standard one.
All right. Let me get this screen share going here. Here we go. Let's see. Which one of these windows is it? Here we go. All right. Another way that you can get wireless Android Auto or Apple CarPlay into your car is you can buy one of these dongles right here. This is from Motorola, right? So this is a well-known brand. I mean, back in the day, people had Motorola cell phones. $90 from Motorola. This is basically you plug it into your USB cable for your wired Android Auto, and then this emits a wireless signal, so you can then use your phone wirelessly, and then you can plug your phone into a charging outlet. And I went ahead and pulled the trigger on one of these. I've been meaning to buy one for a while. I'm going to try one out because the connection to my wife's car just seems to keep getting worse and worse. So here's another way that you can add the features. So if you don't want to go and purchase something with wireless Android Auto, you can use this.
You know what? We need to get you in touch with Nifty City, see if they can send you one of those units. Because I'm curious. I don't have a vehicle to test it on, but if it works with the aftermarket steering like that, I would be so cool interested in seeing it. Yeah, I want to see it. Now this you have to also have CarPlay or like wired CarPlay or Android Auto. Is that how this works? So
you can plug this into that Alpine I just showed you, and hopefully it'll fix that problem I've been having with the Alpine. So $90 to make it better. I mean, yeah. $350 for the radio, $90 for this, and all the installation stuff. It's kind of frustrating, but there you go.
Well, and if you don't care about the like smart TV integration, that seems like a much cheaper way to go as long as it works well.
Oh yeah, if it works, I have to try it, I guess, and see if it works. I guess I could read the reviews. It's 4.3. I mean, maybe.
Yeah, the
trust Amazon reviews.
No,
I don't know. Can you trust Amazon reviews?
Dude, I just bought something that had like 4.5. No, you can't. Yeah, you can't. I wish you could. Yeah. Well, Bobby, you have two different options now. You can use either the Motorola for $90, which is a lot cheaper, or you can look at like the Nifty City, which is a lot more expensive, but it offers the functionality of the smart TV. Which, if that's not important to you, I'd go with the Motorola. I'd try it out. I remember when my dad had a Bluetooth radio, didn't have a microphone or whatever on it. They sold, like, it didn't have this is a few years ago, where it had Bluetooth for like your phone to send media to, but not for like actually talking. And Motorola used to sell this like Bluetooth speaker phone that would go in your car, and you'd plug it to your visor. It never did work though that well.
So I want to take a look at some of the things I've starred here.
Yeah.
And ask a question in kind of reverse order. Austin, wondering if I want to put a radio into this 06 Jetta or just a line output converter. So people in the chat who have experience with this can chime in. I've not ever worked with a Jetta. I've been told that Volkswagens can be difficult to work with, difficult to get a radio into them, but it's an 06. So hopefully that's before the days when everything was so complicated. The problem with line output converters is you have to have a clean signal coming out of the factory radio in order to do anything with it. So if you have things like auto noise reduction, where it plays basically white noise to cancel out road noise, then you're just going to amplify that, and that's going to sound bad in your subwoofer. So line out converters work great when they work, but if this were the 1980s, you could just take a line out converter and just leave your factory radio in there and off you go. But they're hard to do. But at the same time, I've been told that installing in Volkswagens is a real pain. So I can't tell you which one's best, but it all depends on what kind of signal you get from the factory radio.
Yeah, and I did check Nifty City, and they do not appear to have one for that year Volkswagen. They have some. Actually, I don't see one for the Jetta. Period. Maybe.
It would not have had the screen in '06 either. So this is an old car.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
And so Bobby recommends go ahead and get a new radio, because with the new radio you can upgrade and get some extra features, because that Android Auto and the maps and everything is so handy. You don't take your eyes off the road. It's kind of a safety thing. So
can I just say this? Stop. No, wait, real quick. I just need to say stop saying that, Bobby. We don't want to be reminded that was 17 years ago. 06 doesn't feel like 17 years ago, Bobby. Just stop it. Jeez. Funny fact that I remembered that I found Nick's channel from a head unit review. Enoch. Oh yeah, the Eonin. Yeah, it was like $200 and came with wireless CarPlay. I use my work van. I use that same one still in my Lincoln, MKX, which also had the Ford Sync. And that reminds me, I'm going to add this to the stream, not this page right here. Have you heard of this iDataLink Maestro R2?
R2. I've heard of iDataLink and iDataLink Maestros. They offer a lot of different products, lots of solutions for whatever.
Yeah.
So
this is their highest end one. They have a bunch of different ones. So, but this is that time like when you want to keep your factory controls. Right? Mm-hmm. Like some factory it's not going to keep all of your factory stuff. Like, I don't believe it keeps USB stuff. It would not have kept my 360 camera, I don't believe, but it would have allowed me to keep at least my steering wheel controls and then put a new radio in. So if I wanted to put something like that Eonin in, right?
So
this is what allows you to do it.
Yeah, this one's more complicated than just the steering wheel control. The steering wheel control only module in one of my cars is a lot smaller, a lot less expensive, a lot less wires. That's for I have a whole bunch of stuff I want to retain, right?
Well, it does, and it's one of the ones that you need to, I believe that you need for things like OnStar Sync. You connect like when you have those more advanced units in your vehicle already. You also, unfortunately, need more. And this is where I think I'm going back to that price of the Nifty City again. Like when you start adding in that you have to buy like a $170, $200, DataLink Maestro, and then also wiring harnesses, then maybe a trim package and the radio. I mean, you're looking upwards of $1,000 when you're all said and done out the window. It's just, I'm not saying don't do this because someone brought this up on my video and said, hey, I'd rather do that. I think it's a great idea. Like if you want better audio quality than what you have and a better stereo than what you have in your unit, like this is the way to do it. It's going to take you longer. It's going to cost, there's going to be costs associated with it, but I think that's a great way to use it. Where's the one that you have? Do you have the one that you want to show?
It ties in with a question someone asked, so I'll go ahead and show the question and share the screen. And this is the thing about it. I don't know every last vehicle specific interface on the planet and which ones match up with which cars, but there is one for almost every car out there. And 2016, David is old enough of a car that someone has probably made an interface for it. Someone had asked earlier about Axis's interfaces. I think I starred that one as well. Let me show it real quick if I can find it.
Now the great thing too is you're showing Crutchfield on here. If you put your vehicle in Crutchfield and pick a radio, they'll show you which systems you need for it.
Right.
And last time I checked my car, it actually had like 3 different ones for the car, and it showed you like why you would want each one. Which
this one right
that's
here.
That's one of the reasons why I like Crutchfield.
This one right here, the Access AXD SPX GL9, a crazy number there, is for factory systems, 2014 and 20 GM factory systems with aftermarket to add an amplifier. So it's a T-harness, it's that smart module, and pretty much everything you need. So if you want to keep the factory radio but want to get aftermarket amplifiers, there's just this whole pile of stuff, and they can be a lot of work to install. This Pack Amp Pro, for example, it's a T-harness. It's pretty easy to plug in. And so something like that is easier to use.
So basically what this does is it takes your factory radio, like I could put it in my Nissan, for example. Take my factory radio, keep that but then hook up aftermarket amplifiers to make my speakers sound
Right.
better. That's so cool.
Right. And
That's awesome.
the sky's the limit with these things. There's some of them actually have amplifiers with them. Some of them have DSPs. This first one right here, the Rockford DSR1, apparently is a DSP and aftermarket integration system. So who knows, right? This Axis has a digital signal processor in it. So there's tons of options out there. You just got to find what works in your car.
I think that's like the hardest part nowadays is figuring out what works. And oftentimes, one of the things that I find a little bit frustrating with some of this information is the information talks to you more technical. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but a lot of these ones that when I did like the Lincoln, for example, things of that nature, it doesn't say plug this to this. It says find this wire in your vehicle, and it's like, oh yeah, I got to find that wire. Right. So it's not like say, hey, plug it into this harness. It's like find this wire. And then you have to figure out where that wire is in the car. It's somewhere behind the radio somewhere, but there's a lot of wires back there. So I don't know.
Most everything though is in some type of harness. The things that are tricky are going to be finding a way to get the your backup camera turned on, right? You've got to run it to a light bulb in the back of the vehicle and the parking brake, right? You got to get those parking brake bypasses, or you've got to actually hit the parking brake and figure out how to connect to that sucker, and then use the parking brake every time you want to adjust the settings on the radio. So,
yeah, that's ridiculous. I'm sorry, I got rid of your thing on accident and I don't know where it was.
It's all good. I'm trying to keep up with the chats here.
You were asking about the Axis DSR, I think it was.
Right.
Was the question?
And so there's asking about it. So you just go to Crutchfield and find your vehicle and see how well it works.
So I do want to just mention this to Cameron. I think that video actually broke. I don't think they realized like how much. I didn't expect how much attention that one got too, but that video got a lot of attention, and they sold out of those units. And those units, I've not seen them back on Amazon since, and they were such good units. I really liked that head unit. But there are radios that you can get that are similar to the Eonin, and you have some, I believe, on your list, right?
I don't have any on my list. I've reviewed a few on my channel, but I don't have any on my list.
Oh, okay. Well, we both have reviewed or we've both reviewed an A-Toto. I'm not sure if this is the one you've reviewed or not. So
I forget which one I reviewed, but I have reviewed one. Yes.
I have one of these in my truck, and there's one reason why. A-Toto can be hit or miss, but when you get a good one, they're really good. I like A-Toto a lot. I had one of their Android-based systems. I didn't really like it, but this one, this F7, I've had, and I do like this. But the one thing I really like is they have this, what they call LRV, which basically all that stands for is live rear view. So if you have a rear view camera, you hit that LRV button, and it will show you whatever's behind you. I like that on the truck because with my truck, I drive a trailer often. I can keep an eye on the trailer if anything's falling off, if I'm losing anything on the load. But I can keep that on the entire time while I'm driving down the road. And that to me is pretty cool. Instead of, if you try, I don't know if you've done this, but if you're in a truck trying to look at your trailer sometimes with the rear view mirror, and keep an eye on stuff, it can be harder to do. So.
I'm of the opinion that every head unit ought to have that functionality.
I agree, and I think
more common.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know why it's not more common. How hard can it be to add a virtual button on the screen someplace that you can tap and see what's behind you?
I wonder. I'm wondering if it has something to do with liability.
A safety issue. Because someone's looking behind them instead of in front of them. Right.
Because I don't think any factory integrated units do that, like Ford, or I don't know of any that do it. I don't believe I can watch my camera on the Nissan either unless I'm in park or reverse. That might not
I'm
be true.
seriously thinking about when I finally get around to installing a backup camera in my truck, just hardwiring it to a switch so that I can hit the switch and have access to the camera instead of wiring it to the reverse.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Well, and that's the other, I think, probably issue with those is you can access the camera at any time. Like, you don't have to be in reverse, and with the Atoto. I like the Atoto unit, but are there any units that you have reviewed that you would tell people to stay away from?
So the issue that I ran into with the Atoto that I reviewed was it did actually let off a little puff of smoke. And I took it apart to find out what it was. And the XM radio chip burned out. And it worked fine. GM, you can see behind you with the camera while driving, but it's on a time limit. That's better than
That's
nothing.
Cool.
Yeah. And so I'm kind of reluctant to recommend them if they're going to put out little puffs of smoke every time you fire up the radio. That's not a good thing. And I reviewed one, it's been a year and a half or 2 years ago that was just absolute garbage. And so they're just so hit or miss. Which is
I remember you threw it away in the trash can.
Away
actually,
at the end of the video. Yeah. So here's where this one belongs. I actually trashed it. So, and so it's hit or miss.
And carpuride.
Yes, right. The carpuride. I never understood the purpose behind that. It was just an add-on screen. Might be handy if you have a. So what this was is basically, it's got an FM transmitter on it, so that you can transmit through the FM radio in your car, and then you can hook your phone up to it wirelessly for Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which is great if you have like a classic car and you want a big screen but don't need sound quality. You just want to like have a map up. Be able to answer your phone on it, play music through the radio, and you don't really care about an actual real car radio. But I never saw the point in it. It wasn't anything that excited me. And I forget the name of the one that I threw into the bin. That was a long time ago.
I think that's the truth, though, between all these things that we're looking at, right? There's all kinds of different options, but part of the question you have to ask yourself is, what do you want? If you want high sound quality or better sound quality, then you're going to do something like you said, where you're going to buy one of those devices that can change your output to RCAs. You're going to put better amplifiers in. Right. If you want a completely different car stereo, then you're going to upgrade that path, which nowadays, we're just warning you, nowadays can be very expensive depending on how you do it. And
someone mentioned the Stinger High 10. Which is a fantastic unit. It's a fantastic unit. It adds this huge 10-inch touchscreen. It has a Toslink out. Color blindness.
Which one is this?
You want to ruin your day, ruin it yourself. Be a man. The Stinger ones, the High 10 and the High 8.
Oh yeah,
and they're fantastic units. But they lack some features. It's a $1,200 radio. It doesn't have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So
that's crazy.
There you go. It looks cool. I've seen them in action before.
Does it have wired?
Wired.
Does it have wired?
Yeah.
That
wired.
plus Nifty City. And you're done.
That plus the $90 adapter, and So
or the Motorola adapter
on the radio. You got to spend $90 on an adapter. And it's like, come on, but you're right. It all depends on what you want. What do you think you're actually going to need? And if you're running
here's the deal, though.
Stereo.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah. I'm going to say, if I'm spending that much on that system, I'm going to go. All right. All I was going to say is, if you're spending that much money on a system that for sound quality, then I also want to go ahead and watch my shows on it too, man. Like I want to listen to some TV and watch it down the road. So I'm buying the Nifty City with that one. I'm buying the 320. I want it all on that sucker. I mean, it probably sounds better than their home system. You might as well,
Yeah. I mean, there you go.
But they'll be like, your wife will be like, where's Justin at? Oh, he's back in the car watching a movie.
Right. And that Stinger High 10 for $1,200, it ought to have wireless Android Auto, wireless CarPlay.
Yeah, I agree.
No reason not to. Oh, all right. So here is another radio I want to show you.
And I'll say this
I
last
can
one. And if
find
you
the-
want to keep all factory look, all factory integration, that's when you go with a company like Nifty City. I don't know any other company that's offering what Nifty City does. And I wanted to bring it to the market because I think, whether you like it or not, I think this is going to be more of the future of where car radios are going, because more and more it's getting harder and harder to change out the radio. Oh, another Alpine.
Right. So this one does have the wireless Android Auto / Apple CarPlay, but you jump up to $650, and hey, it's $100 off right now. So there you go.
That's cool.
And again, you've got to do the work of installing it. And if you go down to the details, even though you really don't need it, 2.4 amp and 1.5 amp USB ports. So it does actually have a strong enough USB port to charge your phone and operate the wired interface, but it has the wireless interface as well. So there you go.
That's a good question. Does the radio have AM?
I don't know. Have they stopped making AM radios? Is that what's going on?
I don't know. Like, here's the deal. I don't listen to FM or AM radio anymore, so I don't even pay attention to that.
I don't know the last time that I turned on a broadcast radio station. I don't recall.
I know my wife listens to it, and when I get in the car after she drove, then I'm like, why the heck is my Pandora not on? Oh, because I'm on FM radio. It's kind of funny. I was actually listening to a song on Pandora. I put on the kids station for the kids, and I'm listening to it, and I'm like, this doesn't sound like that song. What the heck? Did they like redo? And then I realized that my wife still had it on FM, and I had to switch it over to Bluetooth.
Yeah, I don't recall the last time I listened to FM radio. I podcast and streaming on the road, and that's it.
Well, thank you, Baba. We appreciate it either way.
Yeah,
And colorblindness.
That's weird. It usually works just fine.
And I don't think I thanked Cameron for the $10 one he gave. By the way, thank you, Cameron, for the $10 one. I'm so glad that he likes that Enon unit. I like that one too. That was one of, every once in a while you get a really surprising unit and you're like, that's surprising. And I get this sometimes where we were talking about this before the show, where we have to remind people sometimes, and I think this is a good reminder. We get asked to review products all the time. Do you find that accurate?
Yes, absolutely.
So much so that we say no to so many more products than we say yes to, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like it's not close. It's not even close.
It's like spam. Hey, why don't you review my insert random thing on your channel? It's like, yeah, that's not my audience. It's not what I do. And then there's the ones that might be a good fit, but you just don't want to because you're not interested. I could have content for the rest of my life, weekly content for the rest of my life, if I just said yes to everyone who offered me something to review.
When I started reviewing projectors, my projector videos started doing really well, and every projector company on the market started messaging me, and I became very selective. I mean, I could have reviewed probably 100 different projectors by now, but I'm not interested in reviewing 100 of basically the same projector. It looks like, so I'm like, look, I want to find something different, something more unique. So I actually have a video coming out tomorrow, which I'll talk a little bit more later about a different thing. But I bring this up because here's the deal. We don't have to. And I know you do the same thing. When we accept something, we make sure that there are no strings attached to what we say. If you're sending us a product, correct, we're going to be honest about it. And we're going to tell you if we shouldn't make the video, I tell them, I do. I'll be like, you don't want me to make this video, trust me. But I'm going to just, and so like the Nifty City, I was really excited about on there, and someone had brought that up. Here's the deal, guys. If we bring up these products to you, it's because we've used them and we like them. Like, we really like them. If we didn't, we would just tell you, because there's nothing really in it for us. And some people might say, well, there's affiliate sales. That's true. But trust me, I've reviewed a radio that I have liked. I don't have to tell you the one that I don't like.
Yeah. The thing about getting stuff, right, the amount of work I put into a video, whatever stuff you sent me is not compensation for making the video. It's just not. I mean,
It's not. Yeah. I don't care how much it is. It's not compensation. Yeah.
no, it simply isn't. It's especially if it's something that's a detractor from what I kind of view as my mission. And I haven't reviewed an Android or a Chinesium head unit in quite a while. I kept turning them down because I didn't want to be the, hey, this is the guy that does the Chinesium head units, right? Because I mean,
Yeah.
I had people offering them left and right, and I probably turned down 15 of them.
Oh, a lot of auto manufacturers are leaning toward dropping AM because of all the electrification. Yeah, and I often will work with companies that I've worked with in the past that have been good. Let me be, honest about I don't mind like continuing to work with those companies. So, Arylic is one of those companies I work with a lot. Not because, like, I reviewed their speakers and the other day. This is the first time making speakers. I said, look, this is really cool that they offer certain things on them. But for me, and I show you all the measurements, they weren't the type of sound that I like. And I told you that.
Right.
Like, look, I personally wouldn't buy these. If you want to buy them, go ahead. But it's just not for me. I love Arylic. I have an amplifier video coming out of theirs, maybe 2. I love most of their products, just not those. Not that one. It's fine. You know what? Every company makes bad products, or products that I wouldn't enjoy. I should say products, because the speakers weren't. That particular speaker wasn't bad. It was actually a good speaker. It just wasn't what I like to see in a speaker.
Well,
I'm
what
probably
do you
a
like
little
to see
bit
in a
more.
speaker? What
The
do you like
majority
to
of the
see in
time-
a speaker?
Majority of the time, I like a wide off-axis coverage, right? I want a wide off-axis coverage. I want low distortion, and I want at least an even sound. I usually am not a big fan of a rising high end. Depends on where it rises. If it rises after 10K, that's depending on how much it rises, not necessarily a bad thing for me. But if it starts rising at like 3, 2, 5K and just has a continue, not for me. That's just not me. Some people really like that. People that have been to Slamology too often, they like that. It's good. That's a joke because they obviously have lost hearing, but
Yes.
oh, that's for Fuego.
Gotcha.
I don't know. What about you? What do you like to see in a car radio? I want to know, like, what are the things you look for in a car radio?
More and more it's about the functionality, the ability to connect to my smartphone, because the smartphone is what everything runs through life on. I like to see RCA outputs that are, decent voltage. I don't like these little 2-volt RCA outs that you get on some of the Atoto, for example.
And you like that because you want to hook up an external amplifier. Yeah. Okay.
Right. And I personally don't want a lot of digital signal processing on the head unit. A lot of head units come with it, but most of my processing is going to be done outside the head unit. I've got several nice DSPs laying around at this point. And so when you add a bunch of DSP functionality to the head unit, it doesn't help me a bit, but I know why it's there. My Alpine head unit that is probably a decade old at this point has a great processing, time alignment, that kind of thing on just a regular single DIN. And I think that if you're not going to add a bunch of amps, maybe that's useful. I like to see, so I don't need an EQ on a head unit. I don't need time line on a head unit. I just need good, clean RCA outputs on the head unit.
And I guess that comes back to, once again, what is it that you're using it for? Because for a lot of people that aren't going to be putting those extra, like, they don't care about that. They don't care about the RCAs. Because they're like, I'm not going to put up an external amplifier. I just want something, the functionality of like wireless. I will tell you, when I'm looking at a head unit, the number one thing for me is wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. And I know we had a couple people say we don't care, we do wired because we're charging our phone at the same time. But you brought up the point that 1 amp isn't enough to charge, and it just depends. But for me, I like the idea of wireless because it more future proofs the unit.
Right. I do like the wireless. I want that in the head unit. And I think in the next vehicle that I buy, it's probably going to be a lot newer than the one I'm running now. I'm probably going to be using something like an Amp Pro or one of those access devices or something, so I can get RCAs out. I might never change another head unit again.
Yeah. Well, you know what? If Nifty City keeps doing what they're doing and keep giving you like the newest standards with that, I actually am wondering if later. So, for example, there's an SD card in that black box. So I'm wondering if later, if you need to upgrade it, if they'll allow upgradability like SD cards that you could buy or something. I don't know if they will. I'm just saying. I'm wondering. Hey,
and if Nifty City has a way to inject the Android Auto and the Apple CarPlay into the existing head unit when it's not there, and if they have a way to get clean signal out, they're gonna own the market.
You know, and so I'll have to check on those RCAs. It does come with RCAs, and I don't know if they're RCA outs. I don't know if they're RCA. I don't know. I didn't plug it up because I'm like, I don't need that. I have RCAs inside my armrests. So I'm gonna look it up while we're on here. But did you need to answer that question?
You know, the problem with, I'm not that familiar with the 2020 Ford Ranger Super Crew, but what you're going to run into with any time you've got a four-door truck, the question becomes, where are you going to put the subwoofers? It's a smaller truck, so you're going to struggle to find room for subwoofers either under the back seat or behind the back seat. And that's what you're looking for. You're either going to be removing that seat altogether, or you've got to find some way to get something underneath the seat. And that's the challenge with that particular vehicle right there. I'm guessing it probably has Ford's Uconnect system in it. And so the challenge is getting a way to hook the amp up to it if you want to keep that system, and then finding a place for the subwoofer. I don't know where to put a subwoofer, but that's going to be your challenge.
Yeah. I agree. I think we said this the other day. I think it was just me and you talking, but the truth of the matter is Ford systems, I think in general, suck. You know, like the Ford Sync was like the worst idea ever. Whoever came up with that idea should have been fired. I mean, Microsoft Ford Sync stunk. So they were the only ones that did it. And it failed. And even they hated it. They got rid of it. They went to Apple CarPlay and they realized, hey, look, CarPlay and Android Auto are going to win. We're going to, it is what it is. I just don't understand why they ever did that. And I have one. I have a Lincoln. I hate it. It just is what it is.
Well, there you go. There you go. All right. What do you got coming up on your channel in the next week or so?
Okay. Well, I got a couple things going on. I've got a couple different videos coming out this week. One is on that system that I told you about. That's basically a complete theater package. I wish I would have brought it upstairs. So it's a duffel bag, right? And inside this duffel bag includes a projector, a portable projector, a 250 watt hour battery, I think. Huge battery. That's up to 4.5 hours runtime on this projector. Comes with a projector stand, comes with an 84-inch projector screen, and of course the stand for that. So everything you need to hook this up, and right now it's on sale for $330. So what I did is I went ahead and reviewed that. So I showed you what life was like with it. And then I also tested the video and audio quality and told you what I thought about the video and audio quality and who I think the best person is to buy a system like that. I think it's great because I'm not going to give away what I said in the review, but I will say I think it's great that they're coming out with systems like this that you can literally just pick up and take in. I mean, as long as you have that battery charged, you can literally have a movie anywhere you want. And you can cast your phone to it. So you have USB that can charge your phone while casting to it. That's pretty cool. The other thing that the other video I have going out is recently I reviewed a Fosse amplifier with the 3255 TPA chip, which is supposedly capable of 600 total watts of power. Well, they came out with a new one that is not a Bluetooth amplifier, but it has better cooling on it and a bigger power supply with the same 3255 chip. and I'm going to go ahead and test that. I'm going to let you know how good it is, and I'm also going to let you know how many watts it actually does, because I'm interested to find out. It's capable of 600 watts total at 4 ohm. How many does it actually do? We're going to find out. But I have been interested with I've been very intrigued with the Fosse lately.
Well, I just uploaded a review of one of their competitors' amplifiers. You've used them before, I think. The Ayami, it has a cool VU meter on it. They have some good looking amplifiers. I want to say it uses the same chip, rated for the same power, and it's probably not going to give you anywhere near 600 watts. So,
it has everyone's using that 3255 chip now, aren't they?
Yeah. So there you go. But that was what dropped yesterday, and I'm working on the edit right now, and so I'm far enough along. I do need to get some extra. I need to go film some footage of the woofers moving. Let me go ahead and share this with you. And my patrons have already seen pictures of these when I first built the box. And my goal for this build was to prove to myself that I could work with vinyl and not look like crap. And what do you think about this? Got jet black carpet, black woofers, and then white vinyl insert in the middle.
I like it. I think it looks nice.
I'm looking forward to getting the video done. These you can see in the corners, they're curved to match along the woofer. Yeah. So add a few little design touches. So hopefully this video will get a few eyeballs, because I think it has a distinctive look to it, and it was a fun one to make. So looking forward to getting the edit finished and getting this out.
Yeah, and so color blindness also says, so your only other option is making a small center console for the rear seats. He's talking about the guy with
the Ford,
the Ranger.
Yeah,
and I'll say there's actually one other option that we didn't mention, which is unconventional, but I'm going to mention it anyway. Our last sound advice, which was on my channel, you can welcome to watch that. We actually mentioned a few bass shaker style things that you could try.
Oh yeah.
So if you want the
That's
tactile feel.
Idea.
Yeah, like that would be much easier to add.
Yeah. The I-beam. Right.
Mm-hmm. Rockford Fosgate made it originally. I mean, they made it specifically for things like this. And then Dayton came out with a new one too that I haven't tested, but it's supposed to be 300 watts can take up to 300 watts of power. It should be pretty beefy, I'd imagine. So I would consider that as an option.
It gets you the effect. I mean, if you teamed up something like that with a small subwoofer, I mean, you'd have the effect and the sound. So why not?
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the thing. Like the subwoofer doesn't have to. It just has to produce the sound. It doesn't have to produce the feeling necessarily with technologies like bass shakers and I-beams and things of that nature. So yeah, I think that might be a good option if depending on if you don't want to give up your room. So
right.
Yeah, I think that's all I have for today. You got anything else you want to say?
That's it. All right, then. Well, then we will see you next time. We'll be on Nick's channel the next time that we're live. So we are out.